Our second question is, what do you believe to be the most difficult issues faced by the city pertaining to the wildlife corridor? And what tools or incentives, if any, do you suggest could be used to overcome those obstacles?
There are a number of tools, and maybe I should back up. There are a number of challenges, of course. We all wish we had enough big enough bank account just to write the check and buy the land, right? That's where we'd like to be. We're not there yet, and it may be quite a few years before the city has any funds that even remotely come close to that. Problem is, by the time you get there, those lands are probably gone. Right. Mm-hmm. So now's the time to act. It's that land has value, and we can't afford to pay for it. So how do we do it? And certainly one of the first things that oftentimes comes up in talking to a landowner or a developer, someone that's contemplating developing that land, is density transfers comes up. Right? And that starts getting other people uncomfortable because, I don't know. I don't know if I want density. But that is one of the tools. But really, what we need to do is create value. And there are a number of ways to do that. And not every landowner, not every developer is going to be in the same place or have the same needs. So another tool is a conservation easement, where there's no transfer of the land, but it's dedicated, or at least allowed to have some designed purposes, and one of which could be for wildlife or outdoor recreation or whatever it may be. Another thing that we could do is, for example, let's say there was a development that had larger lots. Well, larger lot developments don't typically need big parks in them, right?
Right.
That's usually for smaller single family type of living, mm-hmm. where you need something bigger than your yard to go play in, right? So, but we can work with those larger style, the 1 acres to the 5 acres, and instead of them, I don't know how much I need to back up. The city does require things like parks and amenities in a development. So instead of requiring these, like a larger lot development, to build a park, what we could do is just ask them to dedicate some trails and open space through this larger lot development. And those things would fit really well together. Really, we have to come back to creating value. And that's something that would help us and help them at the same time. Oftentimes, it's real easy to see city or residents in opposition to landowners and developers. See, we're on the different sides and doing this tug of war. And neither one really appreciates or values the other. But we don't get as far as we could if we work together. It really is about working together and better understanding. So informing, educating, just like what you're doing here, helping people to understand really what the goals are and how we can go about it, what our tools are and what our tools are not. So when we are actually helping, Mr. Developer, you want to build some houses, you want to put in a neighborhood, let's help you do that. Let's create value, let's work together, because that way there's not only is there a spirit of trust, but we actually want him to do well, because then he can confidently invest in the things that we ask for, and everybody wins. So there's some other things too. I would love in fact, if anybody wants to write their congressman, one of the challenges that we have is some people would like to donate their land. However, the way it's set up right now, you have to you have to donate it at the value it's currently at, which is usually a base ag value, which is not very much. Right. What they need in order for it to work for them, they need a higher value so they can pencil it, have a greater write-off. that's where they get the benefit. That's where we would get the win-win. So we could write our congressmen and ask them if they are really interested in preserving wildlife and open space so that our youth have outdoor to recreate in, then this is an opportunity that they can help us and help the landowners at the same time. They could help the landowners get their donation to pencil so they can have the write-off at the top value. If without that, a lot of silly things happen that don't make any sense.
I hear you.
So, they'll, like a landowner might try to, increase their value. We might rezone it to commercial, but it makes no sense, right? So, and it's very confusing for people, trying to follow it. But if we could get that write-off, that would be something that would help. I mean, it's just one more tool that we would have to pull from. But definitely, being informed, educating, working together, and making Eagle Mountain, doing everything we can to make Eagle Mountain a more desirable place to live. And then that increases the value as well. It's kind of a lot of things kind of mashed together, but that's a quick picture. We could probably talk longer, but I'll go ahead and wrap it up there.
We'll have to do a follow-up one day. I appreciate those answers too. I think that what you've described will be really helpful to the residents to understand what's going on and how they can help.